Is 9:03 Central, and
Sorry.
it is that's okay. It is 9:03 Central, and I call this meeting of the State Board of Education School Board Training Advisory Committee to order. Ms. Allie Reed, please call the roll to determine a quorum.
You. All right, Ms. Dyer,
Yes.
Ms. Husky, Mr. Lanham,
Yes.
Dr. Maxwell,
Yes, here.
Dr. Morrison,
Yes, here.
Ms. Leach.
Here.
Chairman Maxwell, you have 5 of 6 members present.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reed. We have a quorum. We've made a few changes to our committee membership, including the resignation of Mrs. Patty Skates, who served as our governing body representative, and Dr. Amy Owen, who served as the commissioner's designee. Given the timing, we won't be able to add another governing body member representative, but we were able to receive an appointment from the commissioner for her designee, which is Ms. Ginger Leach. And Ginger, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Sure. I'm Ginger Leach. I'm the Assistant Commissioner of District and Leadership Support with the Tennessee Department of Education. So I'm very excited to be here with you guys today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ginger. We're happy to have you on the committee, and at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Reed to provide our statement of necessity. Ms. Reed.
Thank you. The Tennessee State Board of Education School Board Training Advisory Committee called an electronic meeting at 9:00 a.m. Central Time today, Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. This meeting is called to review applications submitted to the State Board by the February 15th deadline from prospective course providers applying to offer training courses to local school board members and charter school governing body members. Due to the time-sensitive nature of the items on the committee's agenda, and since the committee members reside across the state, it was determined that a physical quorum of the members could not be assembled in Nashville for the purposes of this meeting, and as such, this meeting should be conducted electronically. Notice of the meeting was posted on the State Board's website, along with the agenda and instructions for accessing the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Our next item is the adoption of the committee's meeting minutes from our last meeting on April 23rd, 2025. I move that the recording of the April 23rd, 2025 meeting serve as the minutes. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Ms. Reed, please call the roll.
Ms. Dyer,
Yes.
Mr. Lanham,
Yes. Sorry.
Dr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Dr. Morrison,
Yes.
Ms. Leach.
Yes.
Chairman Maxwell, you have 5 yeses.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. The purpose of today's meeting is to review the local school board and charter governing body training course applications received by the February 15th deadline this year. We will now move into a discussion of each application, beginning with those for local school board members, and determine whether additional information is needed in order to make a final recommendation on the course application. Given the number of applications received this year, I propose that we discuss each individually and develop a verbal list of those applicants for whom we would like to request additional information and those we do not need additional information. We will do this through one member making a motion to add the application to a list for one of the 2 options. And then at the end, we'll take up both lists with a roll call vote to approve the next step. Without objection, Ms. Reed will walk us through a discussion on each school board training applications. Then we will repeat the same process again for the governing body training course applications. Ms. Reed, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Any questions before we jump in on our process? This is similar to how we ran it last year. Just want to make sure there's no questions. Perfect. So starting with our school board training course applications, we did receive 5 applications, And the first one that we're reviewing is from Sevier County School System for a training titled Continuous Improvement, Leveraging Instruction Funding and Supports to Improve Student Outcomes. And this is an application to renew. So they are previously approved for 3 years and are requesting a similar approval for another 3 years. The application did meet the majority of our rubric criteria, and the only outstanding questions or identified weaknesses was that they had not responded to a question about changes to the course content or materials since the last approval. And the submitted materials included lots of examples and data. And so just really a question about how they're adjusting that annually to deliver different content to experienced board members, or at a minimum, changing the content from year to year. So any questions or discussion on this one?
So basically, they did not respond to tell us if any changes had been done since the previous approval, correct?
Yes.
I would move that we request additional information to have those questions answered. That would be my suggestion.
I second.
That, yeah, or third.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to put that on our list of requesting information. We'll keep rolling through and then we'll do a vote at the end for that action. So the next 4 actually comes from the TSBA, Tennessee School Boards Association. And the first one that we are discussing, sorry, I have too many screens open here, is for the training course titled Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. This is an application to renew. So this course has previously been approved, and they're looking to renew it for another 3 years. And the application did meet all the requirements of our rubric. We did not identify any initial questions or weaknesses, but open up to you all for any comments, additional feedback you want to provide, or questions on the application.
The only thing that I noticed with this one in particular was it did appear the links were broken in their materials that they were, and I'm assuming they're providing those materials out to their participants, but that was only a small thing that I noticed within their 3rd lesson for this one.
Okay, we can flag that.
So do we need to request additional information to get those correct links, or how does that work, Allie?
It's up to you all how you would like to resolve that. We can certainly provide them that piece of feedback and ask them to fix it. We will have a meeting again next month where we're making final decisions. So I think it makes sense to give them that piece of feedback this round.
Okay.
Then do you need a motion to put that on the list for additional information?
Yes.
Okay, I make that motion to request that additional information about the broken links.
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay. Perfect. Moving into the next course application from TSBA. This training course is also an application to renew, and the course is titled Parliamentary Procedure. Similarly, the application did meet the criteria of the rubric, and there were not any identified questions or weaknesses. Anything that you all noticed, questions, comments on this one, or broken links?
So I would move to request no additional information on this particular one. Unless,
I second that.
Okay. The next one from TSBA is school boards and the law. And again, a application to renew. The application did meet the criteria of the rubric and there were not any identified questions or weaknesses.
I'll make a motion that no additional information is requested.
Second.
Perfect. Okay. And then the last one for our school board training course providers, also from TSBA, is a training course titled Understanding Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. And again, another application to renew for an additional 3 years. The application did meet the requirements of the rubric and there were not any identified questions or weaknesses. Any discussion, additional feedback on this one?
I move that we accept this one with no additional information needed.
We're taking care of these emails, but this is third request. So who gets the favor?
Was there a second there? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yes,
I'll
this is
second.
Sarah.
3 seconds. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so Dr. Maxwell, we have items A and B requesting for more information, and then C, D, and E do not need additional information, and we will vote on the final action at our next meeting for all of these.
Okay. So we're ready to move on to the governing body, correct? Or do we
We'll
need
just
to?
need to formalize that action. Yes.
Okay. So I move to notify the applicants of items 4A and 4B to request additional information. And do I have a second for that?
A
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, Ms. Reed, please call the roll.
Ms. Dyer,
Yes.
Mr. Lanham,
Yes.
Dr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Dr. Morrison,
Yes.
Ms. Leach.
Yes.
Chairman Maxwell, you have 5 yeses.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Okay, so thank you. And those applications that we did not name do not need to provide any additional information at this time, and we will make a final decision as to whether to recommend their application at our next meeting. Now, moving forward to the governing body training course provider applications. Ms. Reed, if you will take us through those, please.
Absolutely. The first one or first set of applications, there are 6 from Board on Track, several of which are renewal applications as well as they are a current provider. So the first one from Board on Track that we'll discuss is titled Fundamentals of Trusteeship, Your Role in Governance. This course was previously titled Charter Board Fundamentals, or is what it is currently approved for, but it is the same course. So this is an application to renew. There were several application strengths noted on the rubric and 2 questions, outstanding questions that were flagged. So the first one, while the course provider does track completion through a post-course form and issue certificates of completion to participants, they did not provide an explanation for how the course provider would report the completers to charter authorizers as required by state board rule. And so we would just request that they provide us an explanation of how they intend to submit those records of completion to the charter authorizer. And then secondly, the questions 16 and 17, they did not have a response for, one of which was a signature. And so flagged that as just needing to have a fully completed application.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Yes, I think we need that information from them. And in the application, and I did not write down the page number, but they put the statement will fully update upon approval. That kind of took me by surprise because I'm thinking, wouldn't everything be updated before we approve it? So if correcting 16 and 17 moves that into everything that's supposed to be there, then I'm good with that. But I was unclear about their statement will fully update upon approval.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we ask them of those unanswered questions.
I think what I'm, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Dr. Maxwell, I think what I'm hearing from you is that we should also clarify what will be updated upon approval. And then depending on the extent of the updates, we may want to actually view that. To your point, it was not really clear as to what information would be changing.
Right.
I think I heard a second.
Yes, I'll second.
Okay. All right, so we'll go back to them with that feedback. Moving on to the next one, and I would assume that feedback will carry through. I think most, if not all, materials did have a comment like that. But the second course that they were applying to renew is called Make Your Meetings Matter, where the rubber meets the road. We have similar feedback in the rubric currently and can add in the question on clarifying question on what is being updated or changed. But again, they did not have an explanation for how they're providing course completer information to the charter authorizer, and then had not responded to this one, actually 3. There was question 3, and then 16 and 17.
And also, and forgive me, but I was a director during COVID, so I have horrible flashbacks to that time period. And slide number 32 had a couple of slides labeled meeting amid COVID-19. And I'm not saying that it's gone away and it's never going to exist, but I didn't know if that relevancy is needed in that particular training course. I didn't notice it in other courses. I'm just throwing that out there.
I had flagged that as well. It seemed like maybe that virtual meeting, like how to hold effective virtual meetings, maybe that content had a place, but the references to COVID-19 seemed very outdated.
Mm-hmm. And going off of what Ginger said, maybe, they could clarify and move more in a direction of virtual meetings instead of references back to 6 years ago, or however they deem appropriate.
Got that noted. So we'll need a motion for the next step here.
So I'll make a motion to request additional information for
Second.
item B.
Tom, I think I heard a
Yeah,
second from you.
second.
Great, thank you. All right, the third course that we're reviewing from Board on Track is titled Strategic Board Member Recruiting and Succession Planning. Was previously titled Strategic Recruiting Your Sustainable Governance Team. Though this is an application to renew. There were a few additional notes on this one. While some of the application did meet the criteria, I did note that on slide 24, it seemed to transition to another course. And so just was not clear as to whether the file included materials for 2 courses, or if not, how the materials that begin on slide 24 connect with the previous slides that do follow the course agenda. So wanting some clarification on that, as well as, again, similar feedback or the same feedback about not having a process for reporting completers to the authorizer, and then not having responses for questions 16 and 17.
I make a
Make
motion that we send this back for additional information.
I'll
second.
second.
Great. Okay. Next one for Board on Track is titled Strategic Alignment and Goal Setting, Governing for Growth, previously just titled Governing for Growth. Again, an application to renew. Very similar feedback here with the lack of a process for reporting completers to the authorizer, missing questions 16 and 17. And then one additional note is that the application includes a detailed description of the course agenda, activities, strategies that they'll use, but they did not have the required course materials attached. So we'd want to see that as well.
Make a motion that we request additional material.
Second that.
Great. Okay, two more for this course provider. The next one is called Structuring Your Board for Success, another application to renew, and same feedback here in terms of not having defined a process for reporting completers to the charter authorizer and completing questions 16 and 17 in the application. Anything else on this one?
The only thing I would say about this one, I really did appreciate some of the slides they included, the misconceptions of the different roles of different officers. I think sometimes it needs to be spelled out that clearly to help people better understand their roles. And so I will give a shout out for some of the slides that they had in there. I thought they did a nice job. So I move that we request the additional information that wasn't provided on this particular training course.
Second.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, and the last one for Board on Track is titled the Board CEO Partnership, previously titled Developing and Supporting Your Board CEO Partnership. Another application to renew, and the same feedback here in terms of having a defined process for reporting completers to the authorizer, as well as completing questions 16 and 17 in the application. Any further notes on this one?
Make a motion that we ask for answers.
I'll second that.
Okay, have that noted. Perfect. Thank you. I need to switch to my next slide, but the next one is for an application from Hillsdale College, their K-12 education office. And do want to note that Hillsdale does have one charter school in operation in Tennessee currently. And so this training course would specifically just be for that school to participate in and receive credit, annual training requirement credit for attending.
Where's that
So-
at, Allie?
Yes,
Where's that at?
it's in Rutherford County. So this training course is actually attendance at a conference. So it's the Hillsdale College Board Development Conference. And there were several strengths noted in the application, and we did not make note of any initial questions or application weaknesses, as the application materials met the criteria of the rubric. Any questions or points of feedback on this one?
I made a note that response 17 on this one also there was a signature missing. Is since this is strictly for their board, is that important?
I mean, certainly they should still
Trying to
sign
find
the
the page.
materials. I must have missed that. I will make note of it. Yes.
Okay, so if we do need that number 17 completed, we could move to request additional information to have that complete on the application form.
Second.
All right, perfect. Good morning, Director Husky. How are you? You're on mute right now. Okay, let me see if I can help.
There we
You should
go.
be-
Thank you. Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are in the governing body training application review on item H. So this next one is for school board partners. And I need to pull that up one moment. They did submit training courses for 2 different trainings. And this is their first application with us. So the first training course that they were proposing is titled The Essentials of Empowered School Board Governance. And there were several application strengths noted and recorded in the rubric, and a few initial questions or application weaknesses. So the first one that we noted is that while most of the content is applicable, some content has not been tailored to specifically charter school governing body members, such as goals and key takeaways that reference the district, analysis of district policies, priorities and data, and authorizing charter schools. So it does seem that the materials, some of which is applicable to both local school board members and charter governing body members, there is information that is not. And there were several sample materials from school districts rather than from charter schools. So flagged that. Additionally, the course is rather lengthy and extends far beyond the required number of training hours for members, which is 6 hours for new members and 4 hours for experienced members. So not to say that certainly charter school governing body members don't go beyond those requirements, but this application is for a course that is 27 hours in total. And so just had some questions about how they determined that length. Did they consider breaking up the course into separate courses by module? Is there evidence of governing body members actually completing this course? And so it seems as though a attendee would need to complete all 27 hours to obtain credit. Another note that we flagged here is that the application states the course fully addresses required orientation topics, but evidence of Tennessee specific details included in the materials was not provided. Additionally, the application does not identify the course as an orientation, so it's not required to address the topics, but they did flag it as including it, and so there was some information missing from there. And then the last note is that the applicant does reference the incorrect state board rule and the Department of Education as who they would report completers to rather than the charter authorizer. And so that would need to be corrected as well. Other notes on this application?
It seemed like this one was, as they were completing their application in their materials, they were referencing the local school board member training requirements. Because those orientation topics they've listed are actually the ones for new local school board members. And then they also reference in that application the 7-hour requirements for experienced board members. So I think it might be helpful if we send this one back to just make sure they know the school board, state board education rule that they need to, be thinking about as they work through the changes.
And tailoring it specifically to charter school governing body members.
Yes.
Make a motion that we send it back for additional questions to be answered and understanding of the state rules.
I'll second.
Thank you. Got that noted. The next one is also from the same Perspective Course Provider School Board Partners. This training course is titled Mastering Robert's Rules of Order. There were several application strengths noted and a few questions or weaknesses similar to what was discussed in their last application, but I'll read through this one. So the first note that we flagged is that the course materials include some state-specific topics with incorrect information, such as the varying roles of education governance in Tennessee. So there were, for example, statements that the state board oversees the department, the commission ensures accountability within Tennessee's charter school system, neither of which is correct. And so those at a minimum would need to be resolved. The course materials are not tailored, again, to charter school governing bodies and include practice prompts and references to responsibilities of a local board of education rather than a charter school governing body, such as voting on a new charter application or making a motion related to athletic fields in the district. So some examples that they had, again, seemed relevant for local school board training and not a charter school governing body training. Another note here is similarly about the length of the course and wanting to know about evidence of governing body members completing the full course. And then another reference to the incorrect state board rule and reporting to the department for completers rather than the authorizer. Any further questions or comments on this application?
I make a motion that we send this back for additional information that's been requested.
I'll second.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we have two more to review. The next one is from a new Perspective training course provider named Schoolworks. And the training course title that they're proposing is Governance 101, Foundational Charter School Board Training. And this application did have several strengths that were identified in alignment with the rubric. And there were a few questions or weaknesses that were also flagged. So the first one is that while the application included a description of the evaluation method used to determine achievement of learning objectives, they did not include evidence of evaluating the course provider effectiveness, which is another requirement of our rubric. Secondly, the applicant included an effective method for tracking and for completion, but they needed to note reporting course completers to the authorizer. And then the third and last piece of feedback, or question rather, is the proposed course is intended for new governing body members only as an orientation, and the application stated that the course covers all required training topics outlined in state board rule. However, evaluators missed the 20-day access, so we were not able, and you were not able to review the materials themselves, and so we just wanted to request access to that again, so that you had an opportunity to review the attached materials beyond what was stated in the application. Additional comments, feedback, or questions here?
Make a motion that was sent back for answers for the initial questions.
Second.
Great. All right, we have one left. This next one is for a training course from the Tennessee Charter School Center. And this one had 4 different modules within it to complete. And so there were several application strengths in alignment with the rubric criteria and a few questions that were flagged or weaknesses. So the first one is that while they did have an effective method for evaluating achievement of the learning objectives, they did not include in the application a method for assessing the course provider's effectiveness. So we would request that, as well as ensuring that they are reporting course completers to the charter school authorizer as required by state board rule. Any further feedback or questions on the Charter School Center's course governance for student success?
No, but I can move to request the additional information as noted in your comments, Ally.
I'll second.
Okay. That brings us to the end of our list for governing body training applications. And so, Dr. Maxwell, we do have all items currently on the list to request additional information. So we'll just need to formalize that.
Okay, so I move to notify the applicants of items A through K, all of the items listed under the governing body training course provider applications to provide additional information. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Reed, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Dyer,
Yes.
Ms. Husky,
Yes.
Mr. Landon,
Yes.
Dr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Dr. Morrison,
Yes.
Ms. Leach.
Yes.
Okay, you have 6 yeses.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reed. I'd like to thank all of the committee members for giving your time this morning and the time that you've spent before this morning reviewing all of these applications. A huge shout out to Ms. Reed because she always does a phenomenal job of gathering all the information that we need, and she goes through and thoroughly researches everything that she presents to us. So our next committee meeting is April 15th, in which we will decide the training courses we will recommend for approval by the state board. With no further business of the committee, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Thank
And good
you.
luck to all the basketball
Thank you,
teams that are playing and all that.